Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got Nike coming after the shoe surgeon, the swooshes stock hitting a low point, the week's hottest release, and of course, a Hard Pass. All right, let's start the show with some hot takes. In a suit filed on Monday in the Southern District of New York, Nike is alleging that Dominic Chambrone, aka the shoe surgeon, has, in their words, built a multifaceted retail empire off Nike trademarks, hosted exorbitantly priced classes to teach others to do the same, and creating sneakers that are, quote, unauthorized collaborations between Nike and luxury brands that Nike does not have a partnership with. Now, full disclosure, I am friends with the shoe surgeon. I have received numerous media packages through the years from different brands who have worked with surgeon. I have been to his workshop in Los Angeles many times and have even participated in his classes. He was a guest on a recent episode of my sneaker closet videos on social media. You should maybe check that out. But anyways, now that you have some context, let's talk about it. For all of you who have been playing the whataboutism game when it comes to Nike's year-long crackdown on bootlegs, fakes, and customs, your time has come. Now, if you've never played the game before, good. You have maintained a healthy distance from the sneaker discourse online, and honestly, you're better for it. But yeah, what I do mean when I say sneaker whataboutisms, well, it happens every time someone in the sneaker community has been taken down by Nike for producing sneakers that more than bear a striking resemblance to already established silhouettes. The stands of said maker of sneakers that more than bear a striking resemblance to already established Nike silhouettes get on social media and say, "What about shoe surgeon?" Doesn't matter if it's Bathing Ape, Cool Kai, John Geiger, Warren Lotus, Omni and a Hellcat, etc. Someone always brings up shoe surgeon. And for the longest time, the speculation was that Surgeon and Nike had a wink, wink, nudge, nudge agreement that allowed Surgeon to work on his opulent customs. Because how else could you explain Surgeon being able to create his vision for the Air Jordan 1 or Nike Dunk with ultra premium materials, some of which are lifted from products made by luxury brands like Louis Vuitton? Like, take this Air Jordan 1 that is made out of authentic LV bags that is listed for $10,000 on Surgeon's website. The description says, paying homage to a visionary. The legacy AJ1s were inspired by the iconic dimer and monogram LV AF1 by Virgil Abloh. Repurposing the symbolic pattern, each panel was precisely hand-cut and crafted from authentic Louis Vuitton bags. Now, if you're not looking too closely, you might think this was an actual collaboration between the Jordan brand and Louis Vuitton, considering the quality and the price tag. This isn't something that was just made in the garment district in Los Angeles, although one of Surgeon's workshops is in downtown LA, so yeah, well, forget I said that last part. Anyways, the description goes on to say, we are selling a customization service. A sourcing fee has been included for our team to source the base shoes in the size selected on your order. So right there, Surgeon is saying they are not providing a product, but rather a service. Now, to us normies, that minutia, that sounds insignificant. But for Surgeon, it's probably the difference between Nike knocking on his door now as opposed to several years ago. But prior to this Nike lawsuit, another brand was already getting their legal ducks in a row to bring the fight to Surgeon. Last month, Goyard, a French luxury brand, filed a lawsuit against Surgeon for using the brand's iconic print to create sneakers like the Dunk Low and Jordan 1 Low pictured here. Goyard's concern, besides the use of the print, was that they did not know where Surgeon acquired the materials used on the sneakers and therefore could not even verify if they were authentic or not. For Goyard, it was already problematic enough that these shoes with the print were being sold, but to not even be sure if the materials used on the shoes were authentic made it even more troubling. Prior to filing the lawsuit, Goyard had sent cease and desist letters to Surgeon in June and July 2022. The sneakers were taken down, but by late 2023, according to Goyard, they were back on Surgeon's site. In their own lawsuit, Nike states that they sent multiple cease and desist letters to Surgeon, including one in August of 2023 about, in their words, fake Goyard collaborations. Now, we will see how this plays out for Nike, Goyard, and Surgeon over the next several months. But one thing that was confirmed was the hunch that many people have had about the relationship between Nike and Surgeon through the years. Whenever you saw Surgeon created a special one-off sneaker for a Nike athlete, that was with Nike's blessing. That white and gold Nike LeBron 20 in croc leather packed in a marble box, commissioned by Nike to celebrate LeBron James passing the NBA all-time scoring record. PJ Tucker's $250,000 Air Jordan 1s with the diamond-encrusted swooshes. Not sure PJ had to ask Nike for approval, but they probably didn't mind the attention it got. Nike even says it in their statement in regards to the lawsuit. We valued our relationship with the shoe surgeon and do not have any issues with the limited one-of-one customizations he's been doing for us or his clients when allowed under Nike-sponsored athlete contracts. In fact, we value opportunities for our athletes, consumers, and partners to express themselves through their own style and creativity. Notice it says consumers, meaning us normies. Nike is not going to come knocking on your door if you say paint Pachita on your Air Force Ones. They might even applaud your creativity if you remake them with premium materials that do not infringe on another brand's IP. Every sport is littered with custom sneakers from established names in the games to rising up-and-comers. There is a lane for customs and the people who make them, according to Nike. It's when you start empire building, that's when Nike might have a sternly worded letter or worse coming your way. The question now is whether that lane will be all it'll ever be, or can it be opened up to allow the quote fake collaborations to exist? All right. Let's move on to our pick of the week. It's the Air Jordan 39 Soul. This is on July 23rd for $200. See, once upon a time, this would have been a cause for celebration. The first drop of the next Air Jordan was an event, man. But after what seems like decades of trying to recapture the magic, we just don't get up for new J's like we once did. Whether that lack of energy is from the design and the changing taste of sneakerheads and casuals is something we'll discuss in a second. Where we can't knock Jordan Brand is in the performance department, though. Inspired by both the Air Jordan 9 and the legendary Air Jordan 29, the 39 includes the first use of Zoom X Foam and Full and Zoom Air together. A premium leather overlay and an embroidered pattern on the upper that highlights the zone of support areas that they discovered through analytics and good old-fashioned paint. Who would have thought? We try not to get into the weeds here on Hard Pass when it comes to the business of sneakers, but man, John Make More Kobe Pro Trolls Donahoe sure ain't making it easy on us. Since his announcement as the new CEO of Nike back in October 2019, replacing the revered Mark Parker, Donahoe has overseen some of the highest highs and lowest of lows at the company. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, highest of highs, Jacques? Nike hasn't had a real sneaker hit since before the pandemic. I'm talking about their stock price. After hitting record highs in 2021, Nike stock is down to even below pre-pandemic levels as the company announced a potential drop in sales in 2025, and there are now calls for Donahoe to be replaced. While there were several factors that were beyond Donahoe's control, including fluctuating foreign currency rates, shipping issues because of the pandemic, remote work, etc., there are plenty of things that can be attributed directly to Donahoe, including the cold shoulder to retailers like Foot Locker in favor of direct-to-consumer strategies, the lack of innovation and designs to engage the public, and the over-reliance on retros. The reality is that Nike just isn't cool at the moment, and they're feeling the pressure from other brands. And it's not the ones you might be thinking of. So, do you own a pair of Hokas? How about On Runners? Those two are cited as the brands that are eating away at Nike's most important audience, sneaker runners. Sorry, everybody, but the reality is that Nike has never lived or died by the super limited hypebeast shit that we love to talk about on this show. It's not insignificant, of course. Part of the reason Nike has dominated for so long is because they were both the choice of the people and the diehards. And let's be honest, it's fun to talk about hypebeast sneaker shit, but now the hypebeasts are looking elsewhere and the wider audience couldn't care less about the swooshes GRs. Instead of Air Maxes, consumers are buying Cliftons and Cloud Runners. To help swing the tide back in their favor, Nike teased the return of the Wu-Tang dunks a few weeks ago. I mean, that's going to make the hypebeast crowd happy, but that's a small number of consumers who are going to be fighting over a limited release. They need a boost, pun not intended, in a real way, from a sneaker that's going to recapture the public's imagination. But is this the end of Nike as the undisputed number one as we know it? Because as Wall Street calls for Donahoe's head, Nike's annual sales have grown some 37% under his leadership, from $37.4 billion in fiscal 2020 to $51.36 billion in fiscal 2024, according to CNBC. Sales will slow in 2025, but it's still on an upward trajectory. Never forget, capitalism doesn't care if the arrow is going up to the right. It has to go sharply up to the right. Nike founder Phil Knight, he released a statement saying that he has unwavering support and full confidence in Donahoe. We'll see how supportive and confident Phil is if the stock keeps falling. We poke the bear every week and say they need to make more Kobe Pro Trails, but even that is a band-aid on a wound that appears to be getting worse. What they really need is their next big franchise like Air Max or Pegasus or Lunar to hit. Like the buzz behind the Pegasus Premium when it was first revealed, or what will surely be a wave when Nike finally reveals Caitlin Clark's signature shoe. Those can't just be successes. They need to be transcendent in ways the new Air Jordans once were. The people need to be hyped for them like they were in the mid-2010s when Nike made such a big deal out of Air Max and whatever the new and exciting yearly Air Max was. So yeah, that Nike stock that's on a lull right now, would it be the worst thing to take a look at it and hope that it rebounds? See, now this is the part of the show where I, Jacques Slade, declare that I am not an expert in the stock market and that anything I said in the last segment should not be taken as investment advice. Do your own research, but not the kind of research that includes TikTok and YouTube videos from bros who are just scamming you. Do real, detailed, educated research so you can find the right investment strategy for your personal needs. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right. It's time for this week's Hard Pass. We take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like Jaylen Brown's impression of 2017 Kyrie Irving. Oh, would you look at that? The bleeping's gone. It's a miracle, I tells you, a miracle. Either that or the editor would have killed me if we kept making him work overtime for those bleeps. Okay, wait, what else has changed? Poom. Oh, sorry, I got it. Puma. Ah, there it is. Anyway, let's talk about Jaylen Brown's Team USA snub. First things first, Jaylen Brown should have absolutely been on Team USA. Pause for applause. Thank you. Yeah, I know. It's brave of me. It's really brave of me, but someone had to say it. Someone had to say it. Seriously, though. But not as a replacement for Kawhi Leonard, but as an original selection back in April instead of Kawhi. And no disrespect to the fun guy, or Derek White, the player who replaced Kawhi. But I'm honestly surprised Kawhi was even selected because of his availability and how it's been an issue for the past several years. It's a shame because he's been close to making the squad before, like in 2016. But there's always an injury or a prioritizing of his NBA commitments that has prevented him from wearing the red, white, and blue. Even when Kawhi was announced as part of the 2024 team in April, there were already whispers of who was going to replace him. And while I figured Brown was the closest in skill set to Kawhi, he wasn't always the first name in the minds of the fans and the media when it came to snubs or replacements. Take a look at the articles that came out after the team was announced in April. NBC listed Kyrie Irving, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, and even Cooper Flagg as snubs. No mention of Jaylen. CBS Sports said Brunson, Paul George, and Herb Jones. No Jaylen. Bleacher Report, Brunson, George, and Kyrie. Again, no Jaylen. USA Today, Brunson, George, Damian Lillard, Trae Young, and Jimmy Butler. Jaylen who? When USA Basketball put out the tweet announcing the squad, Ja Morant and Zion Williamson got more replies than Jaylen. Even when rumors were circulating that Kawhi might be replaced and White emerged as the leading candidate, the calls for Jaylen was still muted. It was kind of weird. But then I think about the narrative surrounding Brown prior to his Finals MVP performance in June. He was still catching jokes for his inability to dribble to the left and his terminally online dunk contest performance where he seemed to cater more to the internet than the people in attendance. In the sneaker world, the whispers of a signature shoe line weren't really as poppin' as they were the summer prior. Part of it might have to do with his ongoing one-sided feud with Nike where he criticizes them while wearing their shoes. Yes, I'm calling it one-sided because the reality is that's the optics. One side is doing all the talking, the other doesn't acknowledge their existence. Yes, Jaylen is painting over the Kobe protros and getting out his message for causes he's passionate about. But to most fans, all they see is somebody who's complaining about Nike, yet wears Nike sneakers, painted out swoosh or not. Well, it was a one-sided feud until Jaylen won Finals MVP and called out Nike over the snub. From his perspective, Nike, who sponsors USA Basketball, had a role in keeping him out of the team. That activated the Jaylen hive because as soon as he said that, virtually every basketball-related post had something about the snub. It was as ubiquitous as the, but what does this mean for LeBron's legacy comments for a while there. Of course, Jaylen was quick to downplay any narrative about jealousy or hard feelings that 3 of his teammates were on Team USA and he's not. Instead, focusing his ire towards Nike. Probably should have congratulated White before picking the fight with Nike, but whatever. Apparently, more details about Nike's role will emerge in the future, but we'll see. The reason it's not one-sided anymore is because Grant Hill, managing director of the men's team, had to address the controversy and say Nike did not have a role in the roster change. But that's not the only entity that Brown has beef with. Stephen A. Smith is another figure in this saga because back in May, he said that his NBA sources told him Brown was not well-liked, nor was he marketable. Brown was not happy with that report, going so far as to wear a "State Your Sources" t-shirt during his victory parade. And when Stephen A appeared to be doing a victory lap after Brown was snubbed, Brown said that he was not scared of the biggest voice in sports media and his resources. Well, all right then. Now that we've set the stage, where does hard pass lie in this controversy? Like we mentioned earlier, we feel Jaylen should have been on the team in the first place over Kawhi. Thank you. No, you don't have to applaud this time. Thank you though, I appreciate it. But here's the thing, we're also not surprised he was snubbed. Was it because Nike, the official outfitter of Team USA basketball, got in Grant Hill's ear and demanded Jaylen not be on the team? No, but Nike is also the type to make sure non-Nike athletes' shoes are covered up in all promotional items. And in this cycle, Kawhi, Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, and #1 option Anthony Edwards are all non-Nike athletes. Replacing Kawhi with White, a Nike athlete, was a happy coincidence. Less work for the swoosh when it's time to take the team photos. If we had to put a percentage on Nike's influence on Jaylen not being invited, I'd say it's at 10% at most. The other 90% has to do with the Team USA brain trust coming to the conclusion that Brown would not have been a good fit. Why? A combination of factors, some of which have to do with Stephen A's reporting. Kawhi might be high maintenance when it comes to managing his actual playing time, but he sure seems like the type to just fit in and be one of the guys. If what Stephen A's sources are saying is true, Jaylen would have rolled up to training camp with his finals MVP trophy in hand and said, "He's the captain now." Don't know if that would have been the case, but it probably played a role in the calculus. The second point is the one that isn't getting a lot of chatter out there. If Brown had been selected, you know he would have worn some painted out Kobe Pro Tros with controversial imagery that a lot of people would not have been comfortable with. And depending on what that message would have been, Jaylen could be seen as the next John Carlos and Tommy Smith decades from now, or someone who will be forever misunderstood. And considering the current climate of the world right now, we're gonna bet it would have been the latter. In order to have a smooth sailing Team USA, Grant Hill, Steve Kerr, and maybe some players probably came to the conclusion that it would be best if Jaylen sat this cycle out. Do we agree with it? No. We think Jaylen would have done his best impression of 2008 Dwayne Wade and been an absolute dog coming off the bench and show the world he's not a one-hit wonder. So where does Kyrie come into play in all of this? Well, allow me to show you the roadmap. As you might recall, Kyrie's lone championship in 2016 propelled him to superstardom. He hit the series-winning shot that delivered the Cleveland Cavaliers their first Larry O'Brien trophy in franchise history. His signature shoe line, which had just begun a year prior, was on its way to becoming a fan favorite and a pillar of Nike basketball. He even won a gold medal that summer with Team USA. I think it's safe to say it was a good time to be Uncle Drew in 2016. A year later, he was demanding a trade out of Cleveland to get out from under the shadow of LeBron James. And that's when you heard the stories of Kyrie not being the best teammate and blah, blah, blah. It would take 8 long years, a few burned bridges, several self-inflicted controversies, a finals appearance as the second lead to another superstar, and a well-documented beef with Nike for people who aren't Kyrie stans to get back on board. Obviously, Jaylen isn't doing a one-to-one imitation of Kyrie, but you can see the path. And it's already got a few members of the notoriously cool, calm, and collected media in the city Jaylen won a championship in worried. Maybe if Jason Tatum had said something to Team USA and vouched for Jaylen. I don't know. I'm just saying. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, come on, Jacques, that last part was really self-indulgent. You just want to start hyping up a nothing burger because you're a Lakers fan. To which I would say, yeah. And that's going to do it for the show. Thank you for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. I cannot talk today. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.